And in the seat today, we have a longtime national television broadcaster. I'm sure many of you recognized her when she came in, Sage Steele, who is now the host of an incredibly successful podcast, The Sage Steele Show, on YouTube and all podcast platforms. And previously, Sage was a fixture at ESPN from 2007 to 2023, primarily hosting SportsCenter, which we all know well, before leaving the company to exercise her First Amendment rights more freely. We are honored to welcome her to the briefing room today. She will be joining the president at the big EO signing later this afternoon. I know many of you will be there as well. So Sage, why don't you kick us off on this very exciting day for women and girls across the country?
It's happening, as we all predicted.
Karoline, thank you for welcoming people like me with a little bit of a different perspective, different background in this seat. It really does mean a lot. Thank you. Obviously, the House already passed the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, which is a really big step for women and girls. So far, the Senate, as we know, has not brought it up to vote. We all know executive orders can be overturned, so I'm wondering how important it is to the president to get Congress to bring this, to pass legislation. So there are no instances like the past administration that really tried to destroy Title IX.
It's incredibly important that Congress immediately acts on this priority. I think the president is really setting the tone, making this a very immediate priority for this administration, just as he promised to do on the campaign trail.
We'll unpack this in a moment. On the narrative of objective media, though.
It's about 10 o'clock New Orleans time, 10 p.m. I left New Orleans at about 6 a.m. to go to Washington, D.C., crazy day, and one that I will never forget, and frankly so grateful to be a part of it because I got to witness history with President Donald J. Trump signing an executive order to make sure that women's sports and women's spaces are protected. Boys, men, stay in your lane. Women and girls, we are that much closer to not having to deal with any of this madness again. I don't think we should ever forget what happened with the Biden administration and how they really basically destroyed Title IX. But President Trump fixed that today with still some work to be done. So thank you, Donald Trump. And most of all, I want to say thank you to Riley Gaines because she's the one that started this movement. She was 20 years old when the Leah/Will Thomas drama began, and she could have stayed quiet. It was scary. And she took this on. She stood up. She spoke up. She uplifted others along the way. She fought. That girl fought. And not just for herself, but for millions of others. So I hope that there's a really bigger picture lesson for everybody to take from young Riley Gaines. And that is when you see something that's just not right. You have a choice, of course. I think it's costly, though, when you choose to stay quiet. And Riley chose the opposite. And because of that, because of the movement that she really created, and Paula Scanlon and Peyton McNabb and other people really helping out as well and using their voices, I really think for good, women and girls will be protected.
Then Sage did more bidding for MAGA.
Hey guys, quick break in the action. I have a new show coming out called The Rick Strom Show. It is going to be awesome. I'm interviewing musicians, athletes, producers, writers, journalists, authors, sports doctors. Go check it out at youtube.com/@TheRickStromShow. Also be sure to throw me a follow on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. It can all be found in the description box below. Thank you.
Secret Service is worried about them. If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay?
Notice anything here? Take a look. Look a little harder. Lots of thoughts. Lots of thoughts. Let's just start with this. And it comes from Lindsay Gibbs, another media professional. I once interviewed Sage Steele for a piece I was working on about women at ESPN like a decade ago. So this is about 2014, 2015. And she told me she'd never faced any problems or hurdles at all being a woman in sports. And I think about that a lot. I think about it too. I think about that a lot. I think about how there are so many people who worked with her that went on the record after she left ESPN, forced her way out, in my opinion, lit the match, poured gasoline, I guess those would be in reverse, poured gasoline, lit the match, and burned all the bridges she could on her way out, and was desperate to be noticed and to get her next media career opportunity in store. And when she made that Jay Cutler appearance, it was clear. Because Many people remember when she allowed Chael Sonnen to touch and grab her hair on live national television. They remember the reports that came out of 2020 because people talk. They know what goes on behind the scenes. When the likes of Michael Eaves and Al Duncan reportedly did not want Sage Steele on this is all when George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis PD. They did not want Sage Steele on a special where they were talking about the intersection of politics and sports and black life in sports. And that says a lot. When the people that you work with don't want to work with you. We did a piece probably about a week or two ago about Ryan Clark and how he felt very disrespected, as did plenty of people, with Sage Steele's comments about former President Barack Obama and the census. And the way that she talked down on the narrative that Jason Whitlock has run with, the narrative that Larry Elder has run with, the narrative that Candace Owens, who she says she loves and adores. Candace Owens, who spoke highly of the Big H in Germany, that's the person that Sage Steele thinks is brilliant. It was the narrative of, well, black dads not around, black fathers not here. What's going on? Played up, overdone, stupid, bad, wrong. And yet, when it came to all of that, what she was doing was thinking down the line. She wanted to have the next step in her career set. So the stories that we heard about how, as a black woman, a lot of people looked up to her, including Carrie Champion and others, Jamil Hill and others. They viewed her as a legendary sportscaster and a pioneer for little black and brown girls everywhere in the country. Because representation matters. And what they came to find out was she didn't really care. She didn't care about setting an example. She didn't care about representation. And what they learned as well was what Sage Steele said. How she would not look at some girl's tape because she didn't approve of the way that she presented herself. What would a leader do in that situation? They would have a talk. And it would come from a loving, caring place. Instead, she put him off. That's who Sage Steele is. So to see her wearing the red cap, to see her going around what is effectively the MAGA propaganda arm that is a sport, the UFC, sitting cage side, interviewing Donald Trump where he calls her, and I quote, Paige, and then having this friendly back and forth with the press secretary, Karoline Levitt, who's 27 years old, who's dating a 60-year-old, I see it. And we all see it. And on another note, she is viewed as new media and how this administration is accepting applications from new media. Let's talk about what they're going to see. Sage Steele will not say one bad thing about Donald Trump. And she has the nerve to want to protect women, really. And you're plotting that guy? Hypocrisy. But when we talk about their definition of new media, it's not new media. Just take out new and put in friendly. Pretty soon, you will see Colby Covington asking questions. And you will see the Nelk Boys asking questions. And who knows, maybe even Joe Rogan asking questions. Because their version of new media is akin to Russian state media or North Korean state media. Because that is what they want to cultivate. They do not want the hard questions. They do not want objectivity. They want lapdog media. And Sage is just the beginning.
If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.